it's there on your job. I better share my screen. I'm going to mute you, Laura.
Okay.
Hello, I think it's 4. Laura, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, good, everything's working.
We are now live on Instagram.
Yeah, we wasn't speaking, but I think we are on that now. Oh yes, we got to go live on Instagram.
Oh yes, come join me on Instagram.
Hello, I think
I'm sorry you can't fully see my face. I am here.
Okay. Right. Live. Oh, yes. Right, I've sent in a request, Laura. Can you add me in, please?
All very new to me. All right. Hopefully that. Okay. And I can finally see YouTube. Yay.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm nearly there. Once we're on Instagram. Oh dear. Okay, let's. Okay, well, people can see me, it's okay. I'm going to leave Instagram in a moment. If there's an echo, that will go, we'll sort that out. But for now, hello painters, welcome to our homes. Laura is here with us and she's going to take you to painting today. I'm the MC for the afternoon. Happy Easter, everybody's got their drink ready, whether that be wine or water or tea. I've got a tea and I've got some little mini eggs to get me through this 40 minutes or so. Also, Laura's got some lovely balloons behind her. Also, I had a little flash, but in the kerfuffle, it's gone. Happy birthday to Pop-Up Painting. Pop-Up Painting is 7 years old today. Can you hear that beeping?
I can. I always thought that was you.
Okay, I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible so I can get out of Instagram. Hello everybody on Instagram. Let me start this off by saying Pop Painting's mission is to bring art out to the gallery and the classroom. It's places where people meet on an everyday basis. Turn down the volume on your phone, Laura.
My volume is off.
It's a little hitch, you know, this is live, okay? This is not a pre-recorded video. This little hitch in the beginning is not going to be there for the rest of the video. Let's just get through it so that we can get on with the painting. Okay, in having said that, this is live. As we very well know, anything can happen. If you just bear with us, thank you for sticking with us and everything. So this is not a serious art class, so don't take it too seriously. This is not a tutorial, this is not pre-recorded, and we're not sending it out for everybody to follow along. This is happening in real time. So enjoy the process, okay? Just let loose and have a bit of fun. And we wanted to keep this as close to our events, which is why we've gone live, as we have discovered it's a bit risky, but we're doing it, all right? If you like to unleash your creativity with us whilst painting, we have set up a bite-sized version of some of our playlists on Spotify. So you can search on Spotify at PopUp Painting, or the link is also on our webpage as well, on popuppainting.com/, or is it that way? Whatever. That's really annoying.
That is really annoying. Can't turn anything else down.
Okay. Yeah, go to popuppainting.com / whatever way that hand goes, and /live. Also on our webpage, we have at the top menu, as well as if you go to popuppainting.com / whatever way the hand goes live, you can get a very special pop-up painting art kit. We have partnered with one of our suppliers that have sorted this out for us. It's a very wonderful kit. You get not one, not two, but 5 canvases of a very large, decent size. You also get 6 120 millilitres acrylic paint based tubes. You get 2 whites in that, because as we've discovered in our events, we get through the white quite a lot. You get a set of 12 flathead brushes as well, and you get a palette. This all comes delivered in a box, which you can reuse as a storage for all of your lovely equipment. Please don't put your paintings away, hang them up with hilo, with pride, not high or whatever. If you are using acrylic paint, Laura will, time's to start squeezing that out, and Laura will demonstrate how to use them. If you are using anything else, and you can use anything else, like paints, watercolor paints, water-based pencils. We've had a lot of people using felt tips. Thank you for all those people who are using all that stuff and showing us. It's been quite exciting to see what everybody's creations. So carry on doing that. We love seeing it and we love sharing it. Our @ is @popup painting, as well as our hashtag popup painting or popup painting live. Laura, I think you should just take it over now. I'm going to leave the Instagram just to get rid of that beep. Have fun, guys, on Instagram. We'll see you in about 40 minutes or so. Bye.
Bye, Annie.
Okay, over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so as Annie said, I am going to be taking you through this painting today. It is Monet's Irises. Hopefully you can see that on both screens. I've got to get used to holding it up with 2 devices. Woo, this is new. So you can feel free to paint whatever you want, but I'm going to take you through this one. And what's great about this painting is you don't have to be too precious about it at all. It's impressionism, so it's just about slapping some colour on, having a bit of fun. We're going to focus on the background. Now, normally at our events, if you've come to one before, we'd have our background, our drink and dry time, and then we put the details on top. So this might get a little bit messy, but don't forget that this video will be available on our YouTube channel after this. So you don't feel like you have to rush. You can take it at your own pace. You can just kind of catch up with me whenever, because you'll be able to watch it back later. We're going to do a really simplified version of it and then add details on top afterwards if you like. But I'm going to get the basis done for you. So what I have got here, modeling the palette that you would get in the starter kit. I have a palette with, I've got red, blue, yellow and white. You will also get a black in the kit as well, but I don't need it for this painting because, fun fact, Impressionists don't tend to use black paint. They just layer up the dark colours. I have got 3 different brushes. I have got what I would call the large brush, which is a flat brush. Hopefully you can see that on both sides there. It is flat. There we go. Ooh, 2 cameras. That's a bit of fun. I've got a medium-sized round brush, which, as it says on the tin, is medium-sized and round. There we go. And then I have a teeny tiny brush for adding any details. Don't worry if you haven't got all of this stuff, but if you have, these are the 3 that I am using. You might also want to use watercolors. You might want to use coloring pencils, all of the stuff that Annie mentioned, and I'll try and edit what I say to allow you to do both. It's a bit of a challenge. We shall see. If you do need any help at any point, feel free to pop us a little comment if you're on YouTube or on Instagram. Annie will be keeping an eye on those if I happen to miss it, because multitasking, not my strong point. Okay, so are we all ready to go? Hopefully. So the first thing I'm going to do is focus on the background. I'm going to slap on a lot of colour. The first thing I'm going to do is mix up a nice pink. It's going to be a dark pink. So what you want to do, if you are using acrylic paint, you want to mix up little bits at a time, because you can always add more, but you can't take it away. So I'm trying to hold it in front of both screens. And I've just realised I'm not quite tall enough to do that. Okay, so I'm going to mix up a dark pink, which is red and white. And then I'm going to dip just the corner of my brush into my blue. And I'm going to make it a little bit purpley. Ooh. You don't have to get it exactly right. There's no wrong answers in art. You might want to make it up completely. Think about where you're going to hang the painting. If you're going to put it in your bathroom and you've got a yellow colour theme, go for a yellow background. I don't mind. Totally up to you. So what I am going to do, as someone who is using acrylic paint, I'm going to slap this all over the background. I'm going to mix some water in because that's really going to help me out. Water is your friend when it comes to acrylic paints. But if you are using pencils or you are using coloured, a different kind of paint, if you're using pens, then what you want to do is not cover the whole background, because in a moment I'm going to be able to layer over the top of this once it's dry. You won't be able to. So what you will want to do if you're not using acrylic paint is start marking out where your flowers are going to be. So have a look at the original. And if at any point you need a reference point, you can look on the PopUp Painting website, popuppainting.com/live, I think. Is that all right, Annie? And you will be able to see the reference picture at any point. Okay, so what you're going to do if you are not using acrylic paint, you're going to start marking out where your flowers are. Now, if you're following me on Instagram, hello, you might be backwards. So if you are, don't worry, this painting can go either way around. But if you're a bit confused as to why mine looks slightly different to the original, it's because you're backwards. Okay, all right, so what you will do if you're using your paints, not acrylic, but anything else, you'll start marking out where your flowers might be, really roughly. Don't worry about this because it's all going to be very, very messy. So you're going to have a flower there. And you're going to do that for all of your flowers. Just mark out wherever you're going to put them, and then you're going to fill in the rest of the background. But if you are using acrylic paint, we are just going to get really messy and slap it all over the place now. So remember, mix some water into your paint and then slap it all over, leaving the flower white if you're not using acrylic, and then covering it over if you are using acrylic. This is the only complicated stage for acrylic or not acrylic. But remember, you can do this in your own time. You don't have to follow along with me exactly. And I will take my own advice and add some water to the paint so it actually spreads. And if you find that you've run out of paint at any point, do not panic, because you don't have to mix the exact same color, because this is all just going to be a big messy blob under the background. Very technical indeed. So keep slapping some pink paint all over the place. I'm going to leave the bottom bit white. If I bring you back to the original here, we're going to cover this over white anyway, so I'm not going to worry about bringing it all the way up to the edges of my canvas. I'm just going to make it really fast and really messy. And we're going to get it pinky. You can add a bit more blue as you go if you want to add a bit more purple. Just keep mixing your colours up, making a mess and adding lots and lots of water, because the thinner you spread this paint, the quicker it's going to dry, and that's what we need in this time. Oh, we're going nice and purple on that one. I'm mixing it up, mixing it up. But the quicker it dries, the quicker we're going to be able to paint over the top of it. So keep slapping on little bits of colour. I've just flicked it all over my nose already. All right, so we are going for it. Keep slapping that colour on. And you'll see I've gone for a different colour here as well. But again, we are going to paint right over the top of this as soon as it's dry. All you need to do is make sure you are spreading it as thin as you can.
Laura,
hello.
You're doing a wonderful job. I just wanted to let you know somebody on Instagram has said that they have painted with you before and they love you.
Oh, have you? Who was that?
I miss. Oh, are we allowed to say people that? I suppose so. Mr. Richmond was his at. So anyway, so do you want to just recap in how you started these colours? Oh, I found my happy birthday sash as well.
Oh, cute.
I'm muting myself. Bye.
Okay, so just to recap, for this background colour, if you are using acrylic paint, I have mixed up a pink, which is just red and white. I've used a little bit more red than I normally would because I want it to be quite dark. And I've added the tiniest bit of the blue in. So just a tiny bit of blue, but I'm remixing the colour as I go. So it's going slightly different every time. And that is absolutely fine. I'm not worrying about keeping it neat. I'm not worrying too much if it's not going all the way to the edge, because we're going to slap so much colour over the top of this. You just need to make sure you spread it as thin as you can so that it dries nice and quickly. Funnily enough, the more water you mix into your paint, the quicker it's going to dry, and it will make your life a little bit easier in a moment. But again, remember, this video is going to be available later on, so don't feel like you've got to rush it. If you want to really take your time and really relax and enjoy just putting that paint on the canvas, you do that. I've got to try and look at all these screens and multitask. I love it. It's a challenge. It's very exciting. So this is now our drink and dry time. So if you have got your drink, cheers. Remember, the more you drink, the better it looks. But if you have got the kids there, or if it's if you're not a day drinker, you don't have to be. This has got a lot of lemonade in it. I'm being a good girl. Just try not to dip your paintbrush into whatever you're drinking. It won't kill you. It's not toxic. It just really will not taste very nice. Not at all. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading. I'm multitasking, and then I forget to talk. Ah, yes. I'm intrigued, actually. What are people using at home? If you've got a bit of time to pop a comment somewhere, let us know what you are using. I've just realised my other screen's too far away. I haven't got my glasses on. I can't see the YouTube ones very well. So if I start bending in and squinting, you'll see why. Oh, fabulous.
So when people have shared their artwork with us before, they've used felt tips, they've used crayons. Some people are just using basic office stationery supplies, which is really great. We have a lot of watercolor people as well. You know, if you've got the little ones around, you could even use Play-Doh to do this, you know, smash up some colours together and mix and match. You know, go wild. You don't have to use paint, although we are using paint. But yeah.
I love it. I want to see all these creative things later. Don't forget to share them on your stories if you do use Instagram using the, well, our @PopUp Painting. We will share them. We love it. We love it. We love it. So I have now got a background. Aha! Hopefully we're all about there. It might be taking you a little bit longer if you're using coloured pencils, but you take your time. No rush whatsoever. So what I am going to do now, if you have got acrylic paints, is I'm going to start marking out my flowers really, really roughly. I'm swapping to my medium brush now. Ooh. Feel free to swap to your little brush if you feel more comfortable outlining it like that. But I'm just going to slap the blobs on. Oh, got to remember, you're at a different angle. You can see the back of the painting. Is that helpful? Fabulous. Right, so I'm going to start marking out my flowers in just white paint, because white is the best colour for covering up the background. Because if you try and put yellow on right now, it's going to be a whole brown mess. And nobody wants wants that in their life? Or maybe you do. I'm not one to judge. So what I'm going to do is dip my brush, my medium round brush, into my white paint. And I'm going to start knocking everything over is what I'm going to start doing. Marking out my flowers. Now, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this original one that we're doing. But feel free to do as many as you like. You might want to go for a whole array of flowers. You might want to do different flowers to the irises. I'm not one to judge. If you're more of a fan of roses or tulips, you go for it. You might just want to do one big old flower in the middle. I'm not one to judge. But I am going to go for roughly the original, hopefully. And I'm going to mark out just using a little bit of white paint on my brush. I'm intrigued. I saw a panicked face from Annie there. Are you okay? It's highly entertaining watching you on mute. All right, so what I'm going to do is just mark out some little leaves in white. For now, it will be very much.
Nearly lost my sash.
Oh, I thought you were genuinely worried about something for a minute. I was like, oh, what have I done? What have I done? But just the sash. Nobody panic. The sash is still there, as are the balloons. And this, how fun is that? It's beating me up while I paint. I didn't really think it through, but okay. So I've done one petal. And I'm just going to keep adding my flowers on. So I'm using my medium brush. Really simply, if you press lightly, you'll get a thinner petal. And then you can press heavier, something like that. Press more firmly to get the bit in the middle, and then flick at the end. That's a little face painting technique, I like. There we go. And we're just going to keep adding them all in white. And remember, you don't have to do the exact number of petals that there are on the original. And don't worry if it goes a bit pink for now. It's going to dry, and it's going to be much easier to put the yellow on top of this colour. You can always add more white as well, because we're going to work in stages and let each stage dry in what little time we have. Aha. And then you can finish it off later with any wonderful details if you like. Or you can go for the speed painting like we're doing now. Fabulous. So there is one flower right there. I'm trying to keep up with the comments as well. We do love it when people go off piste. Oh, what are people doing? If you're doing something different, let me know. I'm intrigued. Very intrigued. Glitter biros? I'm jealous. I want to do glitter biros. Maybe we can do an art event at some point live just purely with glitter biros. So I'm going to do another one up here. Now, painting at an angle is always fun. The further away you go from yourself, the less it looks like what you think it looks like. So thank goodness I have the camera. Okay, so we've got one sticking up here, a little flick there. I'm not going to be too precious about it because I can always edit it a little bit later on. For now, I just want to get the basis of each of my petals on there, very roughly. Beautiful. It might look a bit weird for now, but if you look at the original, it looks a bit weird anyway, so we're not worried. Okay, we've got one down here that's going to disappear off the edge a little bit. Little petals. And then we got one over here. I'm intrigued. Has anybody never actually been to one of our events before and this is your first experience of pop-up painting? I would love to know if you have never joined us before and this is your first experience. Will we be seeing you when we're back in the real world? It's a weird one because normally, especially whoever's been to one of our events before will know that I sing along like a crazy person to our themed playlists, which you could be singing along to on Spotify right now if you've checked out Pop-Up Painting on Spotify. But because of licensing, I'm painting in silence with only the sound of my voice for company, which is a really weird experience. Okay, I'm going to keep flipping these flowers up. There we go, one there, one there. I'm a terrible multitasker, anybody who knows me. So I'm trying to avoid painting and standing here in silence. That'd be really boring, wouldn't it? All right, so we got a petal there, we got a petal there, petal there. We can always edit this a little bit later on if we don't like what's happening. The wonders of acrylic paint. I mean, if you're using felt tip pens, it's a little more permanent, but I wouldn't worry about that. I'm going to do a little one over here. Mine's fallen off a little bit, but that's fine. Monet painted so many versions of all of his paintings. You'd never know which one was which. They should never look the same. And the man had cataracts, so we're really not going to worry. It's probably going to look a bit better than that, isn't it? All right, so this comes down here. We've got a little blob down here that's going to be yellow. If you can see the original, little blob there. So we've got a bunch of wiggly lines that look like crazy confused starfishes at the moment. You might want to go over a little bit some of the petals that are dry at the top. Just so you've got a nice white base for when we come to put the yellow on there. Again, don't worry about it too much because we're going to scribble white all over the place. So if you decide you don't really like what your flowers look like, we'll change them up a little bit later. Okay. Gonna have a nosy. Well, we've got some more glitter, Byron. Watercolor.
We have a question on Instagram. Some people are using watercolor pencils. Would you advise them to start the yellow petals?
The yellow petals.
Now.
Yeah, so if you've just marked out in pink where your petals are going to be, if you are using pencils or pens or anything like that, you can go straight in for the yellow, start filling those in. You can blend in a little bit of orange as well if you want to mix it in, because watercolor, if you want to blend it, or if you want to just plop it on top, leave it to dry in between. So it depends what effect you're going for, but experiment, have a bit of a play, because once it's dry, you can always add a bit over the top. Watercolors are definitely not my my forte. Annie will tell you. She tries to give me advice. I am an acrylic girl, tried and tested.
I'd like to say I succeed at giving advice.
Yeah, that's because I ignore it half the time. I'm like, yeah, that's great advice, Annie, but that's going to take much longer than it would with acrylic, so I can't be bothered. I'm a lazy painter, what can I say? All right, so we've now got some flowers on top of our background in white, and we're going to need to leave those to dry. So I'm going to wash off my brush a little bit. That's a fun noise. Not in my wine, in my water. And now we are going to focus a little bit on our stems. So back to the original. Aha! We're going to start plopping our stems up here. And for this, we are going to need to mix up a dark green. Oh, can we all remember how to make green? Yeah. It's yellow and blue. So we want a quite a dark one. So we're going to use a fair bit of blue because it is quite dark, and mix in some yellow. It's really hard to hold it to both and not dribble it on my laptop keys at the same time. Hello. I'm getting into some really attractive angles at this point. All right, so I've dribbled it. Hopefully everyone can see that, and I haven't broken my laptop. So we've got a nice dark green. Again, don't worry if you haven't mixed up enough of this, because it's all different colors anyway. We're going to be adding more and more different colors on top. So if you add a different color green, you're a step ahead of the game, really. So what I'm going to start doing now is adding a bit of water to my paint to help it flow. And then I'm going to bring the main stems down from each of my flowers to start with. They're the most important ones, otherwise they're just going to be floating in the sky. And I mean, you might want some floaty flowers, but if you don't want some floaty flowers, here we go. We're going to join each of our stems down. I'm just going to do a quick, simple line. Drag it really quickly. Don't worry if it's a bit thicker than you planned, because we can add white lines on top to make it look like light. You can add a darker line later. It's all good. So I've added one flick down, and then I'm going to add a second flick all the way down to my white bit at the bottom, like so. Whoop. Now, a lot of his flowers, the stem comes halfway down and then is joined by a different one. That's to look like the leaf, I think, but for so you can see what you're doing, you're always going to bring it about halfway down and then add a separate little flick like so. So I'm going to do that for each of the flowers so that they're not floating in the sky. Make it a little bit different every time. You don't have to do the exact same stem as the original, because like me, your flowers might be in slightly different places. So just kind of vary it up a little bit You can do your wobbly lines in all sorts of different directions. That is fine. Oh, I'm getting the hang of this. I'm looking at the comments. All the things we could do if we had a little Monet. I like that. That's clever. Well done. Never heard that before. All right, so we're going to bring this one down, whoop, and I'm going to add my flick on the other side this time, just to be different. We like to be as true to the original as we can, but make it your own. We are artists, not photocopiers. So I'm going to bring this one down here with a separate one there. I'm not being too precious. This is going to be very, very messy. So don't worry. Never judge your painting until the end. That is the important thing. Don't look at it now and think, oh, that looks rubbish, because you could look at mine and think, oh, that looks rubbish. I'd be a little bit offended, rude. Oh, what have we got? Oh, more people joining. Hey, welcome to Instagram. I'm just popping in on the side here. Hi. Beautiful. So we're going to bring all of these down. This one is coming through the little white blob we did there, or yellow blob if you're already doing your petals in yellow. And then it's going to come all the way down. And I will take my own advice and add some water to my paint. It helps it flick a lot easier. So water in your acrylics, fabulous. And then we are up to our little one over here. I'm just going to bring that one behind. I've overlapped them. They're not overlapped on the original, but I got a bit excited and ran out of room. I do that. If you go too big, don't worry about it. So I'm going to bring this one down here. Making it up as I go along at this point, but it's fine. You'll be able to look at it at the end and think, oh, I know what that is. That makes sense. Okay. Fingers crossed. All right, so we have our main stems now. And what we're going to do is just add a few extra stems. Again, you can do as many or as few as you like. I'm not going to worry too much about making it exactly the same as the original, but if you want to sit and count them, that is up to you. We do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, roughly. Just go crazy. You can have loads and loads of leaves and grass popping up, or you can keep it really minimal. I do not mind. At this stage, it is your choice what you do with it. And you might want to swap brushes as well, just to make it interesting. You could use your little brush to make some smaller lines. You can do some taller ones, some smaller ones, vary it up a little bit. There we go. I've done some big lines. I'm going to swap to my little brush and just have a bit of a play with that. Just do some little lines coming off. I like to call it my background grass. Yes. There we go. Adding the background grass. I can see things popping up. I should probably wear my glasses next time so I can read the comments. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? How is everybody getting on? Is anybody completely lost? Does anyone need anything recapping? Feel free to let me know in the comments.
I suppose, Laura, at this time, did I make you jump?
You did make me jump.
You might want to try and recap where everything that you've done so far, and where are you exactly in the point of the painting? What else is to do?
So what I started with for the acrylics, if you are using them, is just a purpley pink background, and I didn't worry too much about it being the same shade because we're going to cover it all up in a minute anyway. But if you used something else, if you're using a different medium, I marked out where the flowers are first. That's what you want to do. And then we painted the flowers on the acrylic over the top if you did acrylic. If not, you filled in your background around your flowers. Then once we had the flowers and the background done, we are now adding a stem for each of the flowers in our green, and they always come about halfway down and then a separate leaf joins in is the rule, but we're kind of mixing it up, varying it, keeping it fun. And then all I've done is added some extra leaves or bits of grass, and I've swapped to my smaller brush to add a few more as well. We're just keeping it really messy and not worrying too much about making it perfect. Remember to add water into your paint because it will help everything flow. Okay, Ooh, we got someone sat in sunny Portsmouth. Lucky you. Cornwall is not so sunny anymore. Ah. All right. So after this, we are going to start to add some colours to our flowers, hopefully if they're dry. If not, we'll have a bit of fun anyway. And then we'll start messing with the background and adding some final details on. Remember to take this at your own pace because you can always finish it off later. You don't have to worry about finishing it in this time. We are not going to rush you. No one wants to rush their art. But I am now going to wash the green off of my medium brush so that I can put some yellow on it in a moment. All right, hello.
So we're at a drying stage then, are we, Laura?
We're a little bit at a drying stage, we are, yes.
Fabulous. I'm just going to give a little shout out to Sainsbury fan. They're here and they're painting for the very first time, and they mentioned they were here and they're following along on Instagram, I believe. Also, Daniela Hull, which you have mentioned, she is in sunny Portsmouth. And Anita, who has been here from the beginning, says that you make painting fun. So that's really nice. You're doing great, Laura.
Yay!
Have you got any facts? How long do you need your drying time?
I could blow on it.
Yes.
That's professionalism at its finest.
Lots of people could blow on their canvas, waving it around as well, maybe shaking it like that.
I mean, at least you at home won't look silly. Waft it,
No.
waft it. I feel like I'm going to knock everything over. I've got a very precarious pile of books holding this up as is, so I should probably not tempt fate.
Are you liking what you've painted so far?
I am. I've never done this before. I'm very excited about it. So it's your first time. It's my first time too. I did have a little practice, but I did it in watercolors, which was when I tried to take the advice off Annie, and it was a disaster. So
no, I saw it. It was really good. It was really good. Watercolor is a great medium.
I know you love it.
Laura's not using it.
Yes, when I'm really, really bad at watercolors. I haven't got the patience. Oh, we've got more people popping in. Oh, wonderful. We got someone who did the wave Magenta Financial Planning. I'm assuming that's not your name, but hello, Magenta Financial Planning. Joined in with the wave and is now, oh, you're frozen, Annie. I'm talking to a frozen woman. Okay, right, we are going to carry on. What we're going to do now is I've picked up my medium brush, which I have given a good rinse off. Now it's quite handy. I know I should have said this at the start. If you have some kitchen roll, it's really good for taking any excess paint off of your brush. So now I should have a nice, hopefully clean brush. I'm going to dip it into my yellow paint, and I'm not going to worry about putting any water on it this time. Oh, it's just me. Annie has disappeared. Uh-oh. So hopefully you can still see me on YouTube. I have no idea how technology works, so we're just going to go with it. Fingers crossed. All I'm going to do now is cover the petals that I did before with my yellow paint. Now, I'm not going to worry about necessarily going all the way up to the edges because these are outlined in white a lot of the time anyway. His paint style, if I show you the original, is very, very messy. So you'll see that you can see some white underneath. You've got the yellow on the top and the white's poking out. So we're just saving ourselves a step here by doing the yellow on top, but a little bit messy. Yeah, you've got a good excuse not to colour inside the lines. I love this game. All right, so we are just gonna slap those petals on, remembering to make it thicker in some places. You might find it is a bit wet still, in which case you just want to press a bit lighter so that it doesn't drag the wet paint through. Okay. I also have no idea how to get Annie back. Interesting. We'll work it out. It will work itself out, hopefully. So we're going to cover these petals really loosely. Don't worry if you happen to accidentally drag some of your green in. You might want to extend some of the petals, or just do it a lot smaller and embrace the white blob that you had before. Yes. It is really nice if you leave that little white bit around the outside. It makes it look textured and like you've done some light and shadow work without really trying. I told you I'm a lazy artist. I love it. All right. Oh, that one is covered by that one. I've got to remember now which ones I've covered and which ones I haven't. There we go. So we are Now I've got to remember to follow the, can I give a shout out to Rachel Locke? Hey, Rachel Locke, how you doing? Follows our classes and loves it. Oh, we love you. Oh, Annie is there in the comments. Hi, Annie. I've just completely lost your face on the whole YouTube situation, but it's fine. I will work it. I'll work it. All right. So we are covering our petals. Have we got anyone? My great wave ended up looking like a blue mountain. I mean, fair enough. As long as you tell people that's what you meant to do, then that's absolutely fine. Oh, fantastic. All right. Sorry, I'm giving you a really good angle every time I look at the comments. It's all very confusing looking at all those computers. Now, how do I add someone to a meeting? This is a very good question, Annie. I would love to add you to the meeting if I had any idea how. Interesting. Oh, I think I've worked it out. I think I have done it. I know, frustration face at me. I'm honestly the worst person in the world for technology. So when I was told events were going to be online, I did have a slight panic. But there she is, yay! Hi, Annie.
Hello.
Welcome back to the party. What happened? Where did you go?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
What happened? Where did you go? Oh, I can also hear myself.
That's live, folks. Internet issues.
Keeps it entertaining, doesn't it?
Still live on YouTube, hopefully.
I can still see myself on YouTube, so hopefully.
Okay, so it should still be the same stream as well.
I can still see myself on YouTube, so hopefully. I'm doing sunset in Venice and
Right.
Is that a bad? Oh, you are now live on YouTube.
Okay.
Sunset in Venice and you've taken over the YouTube feed. Go away. Oh, now we're both on YouTube. How exciting. I love technology. It's fabulous. Shall we all just stop and drink some wine for a moment?
Right.
Okay.
Right, Laura.
Hello.
I'm chat. Can you hear me? Oh, you can. That's good.
I can hear you.
Can you recap for those that were watching on YouTube, please, the steps that you did to continue, obviously, for those on Instagram that people may have missed on YouTube?
I can indeed. Don't worry. It really wasn't much, so don't panic. All I have done at this point, I think during the technology gate situation, I have got some yellow paint onto my medium brush, and I have been covering over the petals that I did in white before. And just to cheat with the whole texture thing a little bit, I've done my petals slightly smaller than the white blob so that I can still see some of the white around the edges, because we're going for a really, really messy style on this. So you don't want it to look neat, or maybe you do. I'm not going to judge you if yours looks perfectly neat. You're going for a different style, and I respect you for that. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start making a mess in the background. So what you need to do now is give your brush a really, really, really good rinse. I've got the hiccups. Wonderful. Oh dear. Only ever get 2 or 3. We'll be fine. So you want to give it a good rinse off. Take off any excess paint on your napkin or whatever you might be using, even if it's toilet roll. We've all been there. Don't you worry. Oh, okay. Simon and Sarah are having a great time. First time they've painted for ages. I love it. And this one is going to be much better than Bryony Marshall's wave. This is good. This is good. All right. We're always improving. Okay. Oh. I really should wear my glasses. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we are going to start making a mess in the background. So I'm going to pick up my palette book. It's not a palette book, it's a plastic one now. Ooh. And I'm going to mix a light blue. So what we are going to start doing now is slapping on the color in the background. And you can see if I bring it close to each camera, it's all very, very messy. So it's going to be our medium brush that we use. Ooh. I'm loving this double camera thing. I'm having too much fun. And we are going to just make a mess. We are going to make a real mess. Are you talking, Annie, because you're muted? I see you talking. Okay, just making sure. So I am going to mix up a nice light blue, which I have definitely got loads of purple in my white. So we'll see what happens. So blue and white, if I can find some white that isn't pink. If it's slightly purple, not a problem at all. And then what I'm going to do is make sure I've only got a little bit of paint on my brush. As little as I can anyway. And then I'm just going to start making a mess. Yes. So around all of the shapes, I'm not going to worry about getting too close to my flowers. I'm just going to start with quite a dry brush because you want to be able to see through it a little bit. I'm going to go round my flowers and I'm going to use some kind of different brush strokes. You can do some circles, some swirls all over the place. You might need a little bit of water on it. And we are just going to cover as much of the background as we can, but leaving little bits of pink visible here and there and everywhere. If I show you the original just one more time, you'll get an idea of what I'm doing. I'm doing all this messy stuff all around the shapes that I've done now, and I'm not worrying about bringing it all the way up to the edge of what I've done either. We want it to be messy. Embrace the mess. So we're going to have a bit of fun for a minute and just go crazy. We are going to layer over this with white as well, so don't worry about it looking exactly perfect for now. You might want a little bit of water in it to help it spread. And just have a bit of fun with really slapping the paint on you. It might make you a little bit nervous to cover up everything that you've done before, but you don't have to worry about that. The pink was just a starting point. The pink, we can forget about the pink. Don't worry about the pink. And if you've got pencils at this point, you're just going to be layering over the top. Try and make it really swirly and messy around your shapes instead of just the solid lines. Play around with those pencils a little bit. And if you're using watercolor, as we've established, I'm definitely the person to tell you how to do that. I always say just experiment. That's what I've been doing recently, and I feel like my watercolors are really coming on. Wouldn't you say, Annie? She doesn't think they're coming on at all. No. So we are making a mess now, and what I will say is, should have said this at the start, really. This section here is going to be mostly white, so you might not want to worry about this section over here. Don't worry about covering that in blue too much. And again, leave the bottom bit white because we're going to cheat and cover that as well. But if you have painted that one over already, don't worry. I've just painted my t-shirt. Fabulous. Fantastic. So we're going crazy.
Laura, that's a very good point to tell people how to get paint off their clothes if they get it on them.
Yes. Generally, if you get to it quickly enough with enough water, it will come off, or even soap and water really, really quickly. The trick is just to not let it dry. But if you do let it dry, it tends to dry a little bit like plastic. So it'll be in little flakes. If you want to scrub it with an old toothbrush, or a nail brush or something like that, it should come out. And if in doubt, Google, that's the one. Google has all the answers for the world. But it's always a case of if you get to it quickly enough, it should be absolutely fine. Fingers crossed. If not, make sure you're just painting in your pajamas. I mean, have many of you got out of your pajamas today? Not going to lie, I probably wouldn't have if I wasn't on camera. I even had a shower today.
I am in pajama bottoms. I do have to admit this.
No one's judging you. No one is judging you at all, my friend.
I don't feel like I'm being judged. It's okay. I'm comfortable.
I mean, if you hadn't had a shower or brushed your hair today, we might judge you slightly, a little bit. But here we go. So we're making a mess.
Saying she normally paints her clothes. Oh no.
She normally paints her clothes? Uh-oh. On purpose or? Okay, so you can see I've been experimenting as I go. The top bit's a bit more messy because I've been adding more water as I go lower down. This is what this is all about, just experiment and have a bit of fun with it. You might want to keep adding a bit more white to it as you go, just to vary it up a little bit. Keep changing those brush strokes so they're not the same everywhere. This is your time to really just have a bit of fun and make a mess. So I've added a little bit more white now. You'll see that starting to come through. That was an accident, but most of art is just a happy accident, to be honest.
Happy accidents do happen.
They do. There's no such thing as wrong answers in art, just happy accidents.
And happy little trees, like as Bob Ross would say.
And happy little trees. Oh, I'm beating up these balloons. They're all going to come falling down in a minute. Along with the part of the ceiling that I've pinned it into. And then my mum might kill me. She's probably out in the garden watching me on YouTube, panicking. Sorry, Mum. My bad. Okay, so I've come nearly to the edge of my flowers with my light blue paint. And now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to bother cleaning my brush off because I told you I'm a lazy artist. I'm a very lazy artist. I'm going to just dip it straight into the white now. And I'm going to start doing the same thing, but over here around this flower, it's one big white blob. You might find if you've got a lot of paint on your brush still that it's very blue, but that's not a problem, because if it is, you're just going to go over it once it's a little bit dry. And I'm going to use this roundy technique. Very technological language I use. Your roundy technique. When I came to one of your events, I ended up wearing sleeves with ribbons on. Bad decision. Oh, very bad decision, Bryony. Oh no. We don't have canvas, so using jeans. Are you just painting this on a pair of jeans? I'm so intrigued right now. This I need to see. So I'm going around this one with white. I am creating this white blob in the corner here. Okay. Oh no. Someone shut my living room door and the cat is trapped in. He's going to start going crazy in a minute. If you hear some strange noises, it's just that. Nobody panic. How are we all getting on? No one's missed anything, hopefully. If you have, pop it in the comments. I'm very excited about these jeans.
Yeah, what are you using to paint these jeans as well? Are you using acrylic paint? Let us know.
And definitely send us a picture of that later. Oh, hiccups. Okay, so I'm going to keep adding a bit more white into this to make it a little bit whiter. All right. But I'm going to leave that to dry for now because it's ever so slightly wet and it is just picking up the paint underneath. So what I'm going to do now is carry on with my medium brush. Sorry, I keep forgetting about you over there, Instagram. Hello. And I'm going to dip it into the white paint again, and I'm going to start again making a mess, but a slightly different mess with my white paint. You might see there's a lot more lines. So he's done a lot of lines. It's just a slightly different type of mess just to add to the layering. So I'm going to be adding some lines that kind of follow the shapes that I've got on my canvas. Oh, I picked up some yellow paint. That is fine. And I'm going to just keep making a mess now with the white paint, but in more of a line way rather than a roundy way. I'm so sorry if this is very technical language, but oh dear, if you've ever been to one of our events, you'll understand. When I start talking about sausages, it all goes horribly wrong. Okay, so we got lines. We're making a mess. We're building up lots and lots of layers. Again, if you're using a different medium, just keep experimenting with how you can make it more and more messy. And we're just slapping the colour on at this point. Because the original, as you'll see, is very much a bit of a mess. I can say that because he's dead. He can't tell me off. So just keep making a mess. Slapping your colour about. And we are getting there now. We are nearly at the final stages of our painting. We've just got to start adding some details. Again, remember, if you're not at the point that you're happy with it, you have got plenty of time later, because this video will be available on our YouTube channel for you to watch and catch up later on if you want. I'm going to make this a little bit lighter I've mixed all sorts of colours on my palette now. There is no real white. But that's fine. We're going for the mess. All right. How is everybody getting on? Is anybody lost at this point?
I suppose,
Oh, no.
while we wait for some of the colours to dry,
Yes.
maybe you could recap a little bit. I just want to give a little shout out to Rachel Locke. Apparently she's been to all of our events and really, really loves it. So thank you, Rachel.
Ooh,
also,
love.
Kate and Charlotte have attended all of our live events, I believe, or all of our events. Good on you. I hope I got that the right way around. Thank you for joining us. Ray of Light has sadly let his tea go cold because he's been so focused on painting.
That's what I just saw. I got a little bit upset about that. And that is the main reason I drink wine. It doesn't go cold.
Oh, well, red wine.
Yeah. I've got a spritzer at the moment. That's all right. It's
Okay,
surviving.
that's all right. Yeah, that's good.
It's not too warm. It's okay. It's okay. Nobody panic.
So hopefully you're liking what you're producing now at the moment, Laura, because Monet was known to get really frustrated and very viciously angrily attack his canvas when he didn't like anything.
Oh, so I started stabbing it with the paintbrush.
Now live on YouTube will probably not be the time to have a mental breakdown.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure we've all had a few mental breakdowns in the last few weeks. It's kind of part and parcel of life at the moment, but
yeah,
I will avoid having one.
It's probably a very good job you're not doing a watercolor live then, isn't it?
I would be having a mental breakdown. You wouldn't even get me on here doing a watercolor. It would be embarrassing to everyone involved. Oh, Laura and Annie, what is your favorite famous painting to recreate?
Very good question.
It's a tough one.
I probably going to let Laura go first so I can think.
I mean, I've got to say, I'm a big fan of a lot of the, anything Van Gogh, really. I know people say Van Gogh.
Oh my God, is that like a cheat answer? Is that just like...
Okay, well, my favourite one, just because it was my first one I ever did with pop-up painting, is sunflowers.
That's a very nice painting to do.
I love doing that. Or if I can do anything Picasso style, I love that as well, because like I said, I'm a very messy and lazy painter, so not having to do realistic things is very good for me. And you can just have a bit of fun and sing and dance while you're doing it. You don't have to worry about the detail too much. Yeah. Cool. What about you, Annie? What is your favourite one to recreate?
Well, if we're going by some of the things that pop-up painting have to offer, it would be anything in terms of the street art, because they're really nice and colourful. Personally, I'm more of an illustrator style, so I really love Arthur Rackham's drawings, pen and ink drawings, so I would probably just sit and recreate one of his pictures all day, every day, if I could.
Fair enough. All right. I mean, I'm gonna have to check him out.
Oh yeah, you should. It's a name to know, basically.
Oh, Artist Wyland's painting is so good, he can smell the flowers.
What?
I love that.
Virtual reality painting, come on.
Mine definitely smells like paint. Okay.
Now out to Bob and Vic.
Oh, Bob and Vic.
Pop-up painters. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right, Laura, do you think we've had enough chit chat? Should we get?
I think we have. Yeah. If not, just blow on it.
Okay, I'm going back on mute.
Okay, bye, Annie. See you later. So we are at this stage. I mean, you just can't tell the difference. It's that good. Look at it. Again, we are doing it very, very quickly. So do not panic if yours doesn't look exactly like this or like this, or whatever it is perfect. So we're going to add some details now. We're going to start slapping some details on. Although there is one thing I did forget to do. There's always one thing. If you've ever been to an event with me, you'll know that we get to the end and I've always forgotten something. So I'm just going to dip it back in my white paint, medium brush, and I'm just going to flick upwards from this bottom bit. So I've left the bottom bit white on purpose, but I'm just going to add some flicks up so that it doesn't look just like I've left it blank by accident. Yeah, I am now cheating and just blending the bottom bit into the top bit. So it looks like we totally did it on purpose. Yes. You might pick up some of the other colours as you go, but that is absolutely fine because mess is what we're going for. Messy, impressionism, potato, potato. All right. So we flipped our white paint up a little bit. Easy peasy. And now we can move on. We're going to start adding some details in. So the first detail I'm going to start adding is I'm going to mix up a dark orange colour, which is red and yellow, just in case you have forgotten those lessons from primary school. So I'm going to mix up. I'm using just my little brush because I only need a tiny bit of it. Oh, a bit higher up. I've got to stand on my tippy toes to do it. I'm so diddly. All right. The funniest part is I did the setup myself. I should have planned this. So we've got an orange, and what I'm going to do is start adding just some little details here, there, and everywhere on the flowers. Now you'll see it's very random. You might want to outline a bit. You might want to define some of the petals, do the tip of the petal. You're basically just going to slap a bit of orange paint on here, there, and everywhere. It's very technological, isn't it? I know. And don't panic. Remember, this is just the base of your painting. You are always going to be able to come back to this later and add as much or as little as you want to it. You'll be able to, once it's dry, add so much on. Now, if you're in your different mediums, you're again just experimenting with how you can add different colours on. You might find you need to use just red because orange might not show up on top of yellow if you're using coloured pencils, for example. But just have a bit of an experiment. You don't even need to add orange to every petal. It's not a problem at all. Use a bit of water if you want to blend it in. And we're not worrying about this at all. We're just going to add it in a few little places all over the place. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. Yes, we are adding a level of mess. Fantastic. Shout out for Taz Boniface, if that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Boniface? Boniface. Yeah. I pronounce everything wrong. I'm one of the judges for my family's effort at doing this painting. I love the idea that there's someone sat at home just watching everybody else do it and judging them. Taking a managerial position. Well done. Okay. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start adding some details to my stems. Now, this is where you need to have a look at whatever colour you've got going on and work off of that. So mine's quite dark. So I'm going to mix up a very light green. And I'm going to do that by using the green I've already got. I've just stuck my finger in the red paint. That's not ideal. And I'm going to add lots more yellow to it until it becomes more of the colour that I want. So I've got the green that I used earlier, and I'm adding yellow and that accidental bit of red that I just picked up. But we're okay with that. We don't worry. What are your favourite art movements? Oh, it's getting very deep in the comment section today. Oh, I mean, I've got to say, just because we're doing it, Impressionism. We've just run out of time on Instagram. So I'm going to go back live again. Oh dear. Okay. Whoops. We forgot that we time out after an hour on Instagram. Hopefully people will start popping back up. Hello. Sorry everyone, totally forgot that we run out of time on Instagram. After an hour it kicks you out. How rude, how very rude. So while you all join me, I'm still mixing up that really light green because I just like to take my time doing these things and I don't want anyone to get left behind. Oh dear. Welcome back everyone, sorry about that. It times out after an hour. Thank you very much, Gareth. We are back, we are live, fantastic. So all I'm doing is mixing up a a really light yellow. Hello to everyone joining us again on Instagram. We did time out and got kicked out. So what I'm doing is I'm mixing up a really light green by adding lots of yellow into the dark one I did earlier. And I'm just going to start adding a few lines here and everywhere. which you might not be able to see on that camera. I'm going to make it even lighter. Ooh. I'm just adding details to my stems now. We're at the very final stages of this painting, so you don't have to worry if you got kicked out of Instagram Live there. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything. We're just adding some light green dashes, which I've mixed up by just putting some yellow into the dark green I was using earlier. And I'm just adding a few messy lines here and there. You can add a few little extras. I'm using my little brush at this point to add in any details. And you might want to just dip your brush into the white as well, and you can add a few just using the white, just to make it look a little bit interesting and a little bit messy. And this is about the last stage that I'm going to give you, other than to add your signature. Because signing your painting is what makes it worth all of the money. Yes. So you can add a little signature in the corner when you're happy with your painting. There you go. Ooh. But at this stage, this is for you to have a play around and add whatever details you feel you need to add. You might want to do some more white around the edge of your flowers. If it's not standing out enough for you, you might want to add even more grass, even more leaves. You might want to go more messy on the background, but at this point, you can have a play around with it however you like. All right, is there anyone? We're all good on YouTube.
Okay then. Hey Laura, you've done a great job, thank you. So we are coming to an end soon, as Laura has said. If you haven't finished with her, if you haven't kept up with the pace of the steps that Laura has given you today, do not worry, this video will stay on YouTube, we will not take it down, and you can rewind and pause, maybe even mute if you haven't liked our commentary. And watch at your own time. Hopefully you've enjoyed this live today. We're getting better at it. Sadly, we can't control internet speeds, but I'm glad that the YouTube feed wasn't taken offline. So if you've joined with us and you've watched us there, thank you for bearing with that. In Instagram, thank you as well. It's like when the Instagram times out is like a little timer when we need to probably get offline.
Yeah,
Laura, do you want to give a really quick briefing of the steps that you've taken and, you know, say your goodbyes? Other than that, when you finish your pieces, do at us on Instagram or wherever you want to post it. We're on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at PopUp Painting. If you'd like to hashtag PopUp Painting or PopUp Painting Live, we will try and find it and hopefully we can share that for you. If your profile's private, we probably can't share it, so don't get upset if we haven't shared it. It's just because your profile's private. We would love to, obviously, but not without your permissions. And again, go to popuppainting.com/live. You will find all the other ones coming up. We're going to add some more next week. If you've enjoyed them, thank you. If you have been using your own materials but would like some paints and canvases, popuppainting.com/live, or at the top menu on our website on the homepage, you will find the Pop-Up Painting Art Kit. It has everything you need: 5 canvases, 6 tubes of paint, a palette, and a set of 12 brushes. If you want to use anything else other than that, that's absolutely fine. But go for the kit. It's a really good bargain, and it comes packaged and you can reuse the box to store everything that you need. I'm going to be quiet now. Laura, give a really quick briefing of your steps and then we'll say goodbye and have a nice evening, everybody. Okay, thank you, bye.
Okay, thank you, Annie. Yeah, I just realized I forgot to add you back into the Instagram for that bit, so you probably missed everything on Instagram that Annie just said, unless you could hear from my audio over there. So sorry about that. So just to give you a brief recap of the steps that I used, if you want to try it again or carry on later. I started with the background, just the pink, then I added the flowers on in white, then the stems in green while they dried, then I went over them in yellow. I started adding lots of messy blues and whites to the background in a really, really, really messy style. And then we started adding a few details to the flowers in orange and to the stems in a light green and white. It sounds so easy when you put it like that, doesn't it? So yeah, don't forget, if you do want to join in with us next time, we'll be back on Tuesday evening. It will be Annie back with you. Very exciting. On Tuesday, Annie and George will be here. Oh, this is exciting. We've got George joining us for the first time. Fabulous. So make sure you join them on Tuesday. I'm trying to remember the painting and I've completely forgot what you're doing. Oh, the street art dove. I love that one, the dove. she's doing sign language for me on the camera. It's fabulous. And don't forget, if you do want to join in with acrylic paints, that you can get on our website and check out our starter kits and get yourselves those acrylic paints, canvases, the wonderful palette that I have been using today, all stored in a handy box. Fabulous. All right, so thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you again on Tuesday. Don't forget to share and tag us on Instagram, and we will see you again soon.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.